Hello, thanks for joining me. The video that we're going to do today is a follow-up on the video that I made about hip and shoulder maintenance. Hope you can hear me over the rooster. So if you haven't watched the hip and shoulder maintenance video, be sure to watch that first and practice that. That video is really all about working on flexibility and your range of motion in your hips and your shoulders. This one is going to be mostly about hips and about developing strength and stability, and it's going to be a little bit more dynamic, so you can work your way up. This video is going to show you how to work your way up as well. Okay, so we're going to start with this practice that we did in the first video. And I used a board to stand on to practice standing on one leg. This develops the stability in our standing leg hip. So go back and watch that if you haven't, and you can work on stabilizing this hip and being able to lift one foot up off the ground. So I'm going to start with Vrikshasana, because Vrikshasana really helps to develop, and I have wet feet from being in the grass, helps to develop the stability of this leg. So I'm pressing my foot into the standing leg. The inner thigh of the standing leg is being very alive and dynamic and pressing back into the foot. And it is a great challenge to be right on the soft earth. Very different from standing on a stable, flat wooden floor. So that's a good challenge as well. It's also nice to just be barefoot in the grass after a long winter. Good. So that begins, that wakes up the stability of our legs and gets us ready for this next step. So I'm going to stand on one leg and place my foot on a surface that I've been working up to in terms of my hamstring flexibility. And what we want to start working with next is developing that flexibility. So coming forward. And I want to be able to maintain my Tadasana alignment. I don't want any of this going on as I fold forward and reach out toward the counter, the picnic table, your foot. Once you begin to develop this flexibility, we can work on the strength and stability aspect. So I'm taking two fingers and placing it around my big toe. The big toe is going to take off. It's going to press into my fingers. Then I need to really engage that standing leg, press into my standing leg as my foot presses into my fingers and the fingers resist. And you have Padangustasana. And then you can let your foot land back down and try the other side. So working on flexibility, this takes time, daily practice, maybe even a couple times a day. It just takes a few minutes to just kind of find a surface to put your leg on and let your legs stretch. And then you're going to work on developing the strength in your standing leg and that stability to press into your standing foot. This foot is pressing into my hand as if I'm trying to take the ball of the foot that way, and the fingers are resisting. And then you can bring the foot back if you'd like. and come back to standing. I want to demonstrate that you can, if you don't have that flexibility yet to grab your big toe and fully extend your leg, you can use a yoga belt. So you would place the foot, put your belt around. You may have to bend your knee to get there. Place it around the ball of the foot and adjust the loop. So whatever length loop you might need, and I would say, you know, if it's really, really huge, then maybe you just need to work on the flexibility part first. And then you adjust that loop, place it around the ball of the foot, press into the belt, resist with your arm, press into the earth with your foot, your standing foot, and up you go. All right, so you would do that on both sides. Just demonstrating how you might use a prop in order to get yourself there. So I'm going to go one more time on this side because I'm going to show you the rotation. So rotation, when I'm rotating my body toward the leg that's up, I'm grabbing the side of the foot, leaning back into my standing leg, pressing into the earth, and pressing into my hand with my foot, and I have a rotation. I'll do that on the other side just so you can see what it looks like from the back. So you have to work your way up to this level of flexibility of being able to reach forward towards your foot and cross over. Standing leg, rooting into the earth, pressing into your hand with your foot. Let's find a little more stable place here. Good. So you got the idea. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate this without the table, but that's how you work your way from the first video toward what I'm going to demonstrate now. So this is the Padangustasana series. Grabbing the big toe, pressing into my hand, my fingers resisting. And then we're going to move right into the second variation. And I'm coming back, and without stopping, or maybe falling over, I'm going to switch right into the rotation. So I just got a nice range of motion in my hip. Flexion, lateral rotation, and then rotation, internal. All right, so we'll do the other side. Find your stable standing leg, root into that nice, soft, juicy earth. And of course, doing this on a wooden floor is going to be a lot easier and more stable. Grabbing the big toe and extending outward. You can do this with your belt. Opening up into the second variation. And then coming back and switching hands. Rotation. All right. From there, I like to open up the front of the hips. We did this last time in a very simple fashion with a variation on Utthitahastapadangustasana. So once you develop the ability to grasp your ankle and keep your bent leg in line with your standing leg, we're going to take it a little bit deeper. We want to start working toward getting this knee to move back behind the standing leg. So I'm taking this into a back arc. My pelvis is tipping forward. And then I can press the shin into the hand, coming into flexion in my standing leg. And you can extend your other arm out if you like to do little mudra. And then we'll do the other side. So letting the quadriceps have the time they need to develop their flexibility, the hip flexors so that they can open up and the knee can move back behind the standing knee. Moving into this back arc, the shin presses into the hand and the hand resists. Good. So now we've had a nice little tour around the hip. Okay. I'm going to go into Utthitahastapadangustasana, forward bend, so a nice stretch for the entire back line of the body. If you need something here, you can have a picnic bench, you could have a table, a chair, a block. You want to be able to touch the ground with your hands or something with your hands and have your knees straight. So I'm putting more weight into the ball of my foot so that my heels are reaching downward, but more weight is in the ball of the foot so I can fully straighten my legs and keep my hips over my knees, over my ankles. Hello, baby. Yes. Then, bringing the hands back beside the feet, I'm going to step the right foot back into a lunge. This is a fabulous pose for keeping the hips really open, the hip flexors nice and long. If you like to walk or hike for exercise, this is a daily must. Okay, then bringing that leg back up, drawing into Uttanasana. Step your left leg back. Keep your front knee over your ankle. So in other words, we don't want to have our hands here and our knee like this. Walk the hands back by your feet. Walk your back foot back. Let your hips sit down toward the earth. The back thigh is lifting up. Keep that back knee straight. Reach with your back heel to help keep that back knee straight. And breathe. And then I'm going to come back up to Uttanasana. And stepping my right foot back. This time I'm keeping my knees straight. This is one of my favorite poses to keep my hips happy. So I want that back foot to stay grounded. I'm going to keep my right hand down on the ground or a block or a chair, whatever it is you might need for your flexibility, and twist. So as I'm doing this, I'm keeping my torso in the midline. I'm not leaning back that way. I'm keeping my torso in the midline. And if you have the flexibility for it, you can cross this arm over the front leg. And come back. Bring the back foot to Uttanasana. Step the left foot back. Just Big enough that you can still get that back heel down, not so big that the heel is floating. We want stability here. Pressing the feet into the earth, rotating. So again, I'm keeping my torso in the midline. If I drew a line down from the front foot to the back foot, I want to keep my torso in that plane. And if you can manage it, you can cross over. Okay, this pose obviously requires quite a bit of flexibility out of the legs, and it's so wonderful for all the muscles, connective tissue here. Really opens up that hip, keeps things nice and free. And then we'll come back to Utthitahastapadangustasana. And to finish my little sequence off, I'm going to step my feet back for a downward dog. Of course, you could do this downward dog right at the picnic table with your hands on the picnic table, or you could take them on something lower like a picnic bench, or you could take them on a stair, like walk your hands one stair up. And you can step your feet back up, but I'm feeling kind of springy today. So that's a little bit more dynamic hip maintenance routine that you can do, and you can use that after you practice with that first video. Develop your flexibility, develop your balance on one leg, and then once you've got that going, you can transition to this sequence and pretty much do it anywhere. I actually often do that with my shoes on when I'm out taking a walk, rather than grabbing the big toe, just grabbing the side of the foot. But just a great little sequence to have, to keep those hips really loose and flowing, to keep your legs strong and stable. It also works your core stabilizing. So I hope you find it helpful. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.